Hey you, before the video starts, consider dropping a like, a comment, and maybe consider subscribing. This really does help the channel grow. On to the video. Now that Deathbringer's Charred Bones, aka AFK Bones, are out, how do you capitalize on the best gains? Well, in this video, let's generally talk about the DB progression, and in the coming weeks, I'll be releasing more detailed shorts about every farming location in all the worlds, mostly from World 3 and up, because it's really when it kicks in. Let's start the video by talking about what you need to start the Deathbringer journey. Number one, you're going to need a decently high class level. If you are not level 600 plus in your Deathbringer, I would not push very far actively. Genuinely, get to the ribbon upgrades, ribbon shelf and ribbon winning, unlock AFK Bones, and stick your Deathbringer and your second Deathbringer if you have two on fighting AFK areas. Ideally, you can progress your Zhaos, Chows, and Super Chows and Apocalypse Wows while doing this. Why is a high class level important? Well, DB really benefits a lot from talent points, and the master classes suffer greatly from a lack of talent points. The bubbles that provide talent points do not give any to master classes. The buff boy talent, fast boy talent, and smart boy talent all do not work here. The only way to get master class talents are from World 6 Merit Shop, skill levels, class levels, party dungeons, and the master classes' respective upgrade systems. So 600 plus class levels is a good point to really progress and use your Charred Bones, since it'll be most effective then. As a side note, you do not need to be in Wraith form to collect AFK Bones. I stick my guys on Ancient Golems in the Cavern 15, and I've been grinding Dragon Warrior statues since AFK Bones are released. So, okay, very basic foundation laid out. What is the best way to use your AFK Bones? Let's go through each of the zones in classic Idle Main Z fashion. Mr. Live Main Z, take it away. Hello guys, it's I guess Live Main Z. I don't know what I said in the voiceover. Anyways, so hey guys, in classic Idle Main Z fashion, we're just gonna be yapping and talking all the way through the Deathbringer progression, all the stuff from World 1 up to World 6, all the new findings, all the meta strats, and where you're gonna be parking your character for a long while. You know, hitting that World 5 roadblock and where you end up in World 6, the optimal farming spots. The one thing I do want to say before we get too deep into this video is, obviously, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Obviously, it does help me. But seriously, on a more serious note with Deathbringer, you're not going to be farming every single map like you would on Windwalker. Windwalker had a little more thought and development going into it in terms of the deer spawn mechanic and how dust percent scales. Is obviously a lot of dust percent, and generally with Windwalker the best way to progress just became pushing maps, because newer maps tended to give you more dust. But with Deathbringer that's not the case. In fact, it's the exact opposite. You want to stay in particular maps because they have good layouts. The big difference between the horde monster mechanic with the graveyard and the deer is that the deer can go anywhere in the map. Anywhere there's a platform, the deer can spawn there, versus horde mobs will spawn in very specific locations depending on where you place the gravestone. So because of that, you want to kind of game the gravestone a little bit and force the horde monsters to spawn in very particular locations that are favorable to you. So with that being said, you're not going to be farming every single location in any you're not going to be farming every single map. You're going to be farming very specific maps for specific bones. So there's 4 bones, as there's 4 or 5 dust for Windwalker. There are, commonly I'm going to refer to this as femur, the tier 1 bones, rib cages, the tier 2 bones, craniums, the tier 3 bones, and bovinae or cow skull, the tier 4 bones. For large portion of the people who are just starting out in Deathbringer, you're only going to see femurs, because almost every single upgrade early on is going to be femurs. Then you start getting into rib cages a little bit further down when you get to knockouts and eliminations and femur hoarding. All the damage scalers are going to be more rib cage stuff. Cranium is going to be a little bit later. Most of it seems to be more account type stuff, a little bit of bonuses towards, you know, your general Deathbringer progression, and then you get into bovinae pretty late into the grimoire. Honestly, you're not going to see bovinae skulls until you're pretty late into World 5, potentially pushing World 6. So it's just not going to be in play. So that out of the way, now that we have the naming convention of the bones, you're going to hear me kind of swap between femur tier 1, ribcage tier 2, probably commonly in this video. So if you're just starting out in the Deathbringer grind, obviously, like I mentioned in the intro, level 600 plus is what you want to aim for. If you can push to 625, 650, 675 even, it's going to help you a ton more, because the more talent levels you have, the better and better Deathbringer is going to be. It is very talent point heavy. It's very talent point heavy. You're going to get a lot of damage scaling from talent point levels and a lot of bone gain as well from talent levels. So big thing right off the bat, let's talk about talents just briefly, because, you know, I've made a video talking about it before, but I think it's worth approaching here because there's a lot that's changed since the initial video. So number one, Wraith form, I still stand by what I say by putting a 1 point into here pretty early game. You're better off spending your points probably into Marauder style for the damage and accuracy, because those are your two biggest issues as you progress Deathbringer, is damage and accuracy. So maxing out Marauder style is one thing you want to consider, and if you have 600 plus class levels, this should be very easy for you to max out, even if your max book is 299. Outside of that, I would still probably put 1 point into Grimoire and maxing it out as sooner rather than later, but focusing on the damage talent so you can actually push higher tier maps to get more bone gain that way. So for now, put 1 point into it. I would put I'd probably put early game 1 point into Sentinel Axes. I would max out the Graveyard. I'd put up to 300 points into Detonation, and I would for now put 1 point into Famine of Fish and 1 point into Bulwark style. Now, whether you are a 1 Deathbringer player, you have 1 Deathbringer on your account, or you have 2, the next few talents are going to really decide. If you have 2, you don't need to put any points into Built Different, Ribbon Winning, Mass Irrigation, Agricultural Precipitation, or Appreciation, Dank Ranks, Wraith Overlord, or Apocalypse WoW. Your second Deathbringer can be your Mule, as in you can put all of the points into these and not worry about this on your first Deathbringer, as it's kind of a waste of talent points. Okay, going back, I would then put all of your points into Grimoire, all of your points into Axes, then I would put all of your points into Famine of Fish, and then Wraith form as the last damage talent. Why? Because crit chance actually turns out to be super important as you push into World 5, because it'll allow you to be more consistent on the gravestone. We'll talk about that when we get into World 4 and World 5 and why crit chance is important. And, you know, we'll get there. Just trust me when I say that. Crit damage is actually more important than the Wraith damage you get from the Wraith form. Second thing I want to talk about are talent presets. So skill efficiency is important because of the Famine of Fish talent. You get crit chance and crit damage, which for Deathbringer, it's hard to get to 100% crit chance. It's actually impossible pre-Writhing Grimoire. So you can hit 100% crit chance and get over 100% crit chance. Sorry, I'm not Wraith form. It's a bad representation. You can get over 100% Wraith form, 100% crit chance in Wraith form, but you only get there pretty late into the Grimoire. So we'll talk about those upgrades and the, you know, progression style of Deathbringer when we get more into World 5, World 6. Just know early game late Grimoire progression, you're not going to be hitting 100%. So every single little bit of skill efficiency is going to be very massive for you in terms of your damage output and also crit chance. So there you go. So skill efficiency is the name of the game. You want skill efficiency on the card set as well, and you want golden ribs to help get you a ton of skill efficiency here. If I were to take off all of my golden ribs, you see that I lose like 0.9, but I also mostly lose 0.04 crit chance. So it is decent. It does give you a little bit of efficiency, but it also, most importantly, gives you the crit chance, the crit damage, and that's why it's important to scale fish efficiency on this character. Note, you don't need to scale fishing speed. That has no impact on the fishing efficiency. It just makes your fishing faster, which doesn't impact your skill efficiency whatsoever as a raw number. Like, it doesn't increase the number. It just increases the average time to catch the fish. So don't have to worry about fishing speed, food, anything at all. Okay. Now let's actually move into the maps. So like I mentioned, I'm going to be making shorts talking about most of these zones. In my opinion, World 1 to World 3, it's not really worth considering what map to really focus on, because you'll see, I'm going to be talking about this, there are specific mobs you want to park yourself at because they will give you the most amount of bones until you reach World 3, and I mean that very seriously. World 2 you skip entirely. World 1 has 2 spots, and then World 3 has the rest of the spots you're going to be finding, and then from there World 4 is a very long time gate, or at least it was when it was active Deathbringer. World 5 is probably the longer of the time gates of the worlds. And then World 6 kind of progresses fairly quickly. But you're going to be stuck in World 5 for a very long time. So let's actually just jump into the maps. If you're just starting out Deathbringer, you haven't upgraded anything in the Grimoire, you're just starting out, obviously you're going to be parked at Mush for a little bit. Gravestone placement here does not matter whatsoever. Just place your gravestone wherever and start killing the mobs. Very simple, easy to move on. Let's skip over frogs. The reason we skip over frogs is because there's a lot of platforms. It's very hard to get consistent bone gain here because the horde mobs are going to be spawning literally all over the place, and you're not going to be able to stack up the gravestone for more bone gain. So we'll skip that and go straight to board beans. This, you can consistently just turn on auto and walk away, and you'll be able to gain a little bit of bones here. Perfect. Where do you go after board beans? You skip everything and go straight to sticks. So sticks is very, very weird. So I would highly recommend, since you are probably at this point, you haven't unlocked AFK bones, the only way to really progress it is by being active on the class. So you're going to need to gather a little bit of accuracy, upgrade whatever you can in the Grimoire, get accuracy, get damage, get a little bit of defense, and make sure, obviously, you have the star talent maxed out for Goblet of Hemoglobin so you don't die, because that is a common issue kind of early game. But the best way to farm femurs or tier 1 bones here is going to be placing the gravestone at this very bottom portal from the acorns map. So that nutto you get from the tower defense map, place the gravestone here and just click on auto and walk away. The reason you place the gravestone here is because, as you can see, actually stop attacking here so you guys can actually visually see what I'm talking about. You'll see these little mini tombstones spawn at the very bottom. What these indicate are where the horde monster can spawn. So if you see a gravestone here, like a mini one, that's where these little monsters right here with these gravestones are going to spawn. You can force these guys to spawn only on these bottom 3 platforms right here. And that is very, very important, so your character doesn't move towards the rest of the sticks map. So placing the gravestone at the very bottom will help optimize the amount of bones you can get, and this is the best way to farm femurs until you get to World 3. You heard me right. This is where you want to sit and farm femurs until you get to World 3. The only place that beats this out are Bloques. We'll get to Bloques in a second, but there is nothing in World 2 that beats the femur generation if you are active. And I mean this, you are active and replace the gravestone at the bottom of this portal. Now, some people are going to comment, well, actually, like Snellbees or something are better. I'm telling you, if you were doing this right, sticks will beat out everything in World 2. The amount of stacks you can get on this gravestone is incomparable to any bone gain you'll get naturally from World 2. So yes, keep it there. Plenty of people have tested this at all stages of the game. If you are getting higher femurs from other maps, it's because your accuracy or damage sucks. So you need to pump in more upgrades of that. And your gravestone placement is probably off. You probably put it at this portal or on this platform or on this platform or on this platform. It needs to be on the portal is where this gravestone needs to be. Okay, cool. Obviously, don't look at my bone gain. I have just about every single bone percent increase you can get from the Grimoire, except Bovine Hoarding. We'll talk about that later. I have the Deathbringer Hood. I have the Arcade bonus. I have the Deer Pet. I have the Cavern 14 increase or 13 from Gambit Cavern, the 2x bones. So you're not going to be getting 200 mil femurs. You're probably going to be getting like maybe 10 mil at most early game. But yeah, that's where femurs sit. So before we move away from World 1, let's talk about the rib cages, because that is farmable in World 1. You'll start seeing some of the upgrades cost rib cages, probably the knockout, pretty early on. So that's the best map is actually going to be the one just above Nuttos, or sorry, Sticks is going to be the Nuttos map. And same logic applies. You want the gravestone to be on the portal at the very bottom here. Same logic applies. The gravestone is going to be very limited to these bottom 3 platforms, and your character is not going to doze and wander off to the rest of the map. So this is optimal. This is fantastic. This again is the best ribcage spot until you hit World 3. Again, World 2 just sucks. You skip it entirely to go straight to World 3 for this. So that's where you are. Yeah, and that's the way it is. So femurs are going to be sticks, the very bottom portal, very, very bottom portal. I mean, the acorns map, sorry, not the Acorns map, but the Roots map going up to the stick map, that portal. And then for rib cages, the Nuttos going from the stick map up to Nuttos is better, is the best until you hit World 3. Okay, talking about World 3, let's skip femurs for just a second because I already mentioned Bloques. Let's talk about rib cages. What's going to replace Nuttos is going to be Sheepies. Same logic applies. The gravestone is going to be placed on the town portal. So when you get into the Sheepies map, you can just go from World 3 town, click on the portal, and enter Sheepies. At this stage of the game, as you consider getting into World 3, there's not really a breakpoint for you to aim for. My recommendation is trying to hit, or trying to be able to kill the Sheepies fairly reliably, enough damage to one-shot them even, and enough like 50% accuracy maybe. Just play around with it and see if your rates are better. It's going to really depend on whatever bone gain percent you have from Arcade Shop or from the caverns. It really is going to vary on the person, so I can't tell you if this is going to be better than Nuttos at any particular breakpoint. I know for World 5, it's a little bit easier because there's been a lot more testing. World 1 through World 3 was pretty much a blur for the first few weeks of Deathbringer testing. And honestly, it's just trial and error for pretty much anyone in the game. So my recommendation is just try and see if it's better for you or not. Generally, if you have enough accuracy to one-shot them or enough damage to one-shot them, like 50% accuracy, you're probably fine just going to Sheepies and just being fine. Okay, that's rib cages. In terms of rib cages, there's nothing that's going to be better than Sheepies until you get to World 4. So that's essentially it. We'll skip that. We'll move on to femurs and we'll talk about Bloques. So actually, you know what? Is that true? Hold on. Yeah, that's true. I did forget that Lava did mess around with the bone types because they were different from early release. He changed the base coin type of the mob, which affected the bones. Anyways, so yeah, Sheepies are just generally the best until you get to World 4 when Demon Genies takes over. So talking about femurs, from sticks, the next best place are going to be Bloques. Literally, you place the gravestone anywhere and it'll beat out sticks. So this one is a little more AFK friendly. You can just turn on auto, walk away, and let the gravestone do the work. I guess I kind of glossed over this with both sticks, with Nuttos, and with Sheepies. You need to kind of babysit the gravestone and make sure that the gravestone is placed very optimally. If you don't, you're going to be losing out on bone gain to a very significant degree. So I do recommend, and at this stage you do need to be more active in Deathbringer while you unlock AFK bones. It's going to be a little bit till you get the 1000 charred bone fragments to unlock it. So being active is going to be a requirement obviously until then. So I would highly recommend being active until you get into World 3 when you can feasibly probably unlock it at that point. Maybe hitting it. Yeah, I mean, definitely at that point, World 3 is probably going to be a soft lock for a lot of people, especially if your class level is low. You're going to be sitting here on Sheepies and Bloques going back and forth, upgrading the femur upgrades for a while until you unlock AFK bones. At that point, if you are pre-600 levels, if you're at 600 levels or pre-650 levels, I think using AFK bones on World 3 is completely fine and acceptable. If you're using it in World 1, you're doing something wrong. Just go use it in World 3. Your rates are going to be so much better. Okay, if you manage to push into World 4 without getting AFK bones, congratulations, you hit the next soft lock. So let's talk about World 4, because there's no real other... I mean, you might see better increases going to cryo snakes, but if I remember correctly in my journey, back when quenchies were good, I was getting better rates. But again, these were rib cages back in the day. Now these are craniums, which you're not going to see until World 4 anyways. So, I mean... yeah, no, the gravestone placement here is just bad. I can tell because it's going literally all across the entire map. It's just not good. So let's go into World 4 and let's talk about femurs. So femurs, unfortunately, you're probably not going to be able to get good femur rates for a while. There's not a lot of mobs in World 4 that are going to be very reliable for this. So I would probably stay into World 3 and AFK at Bloques for a long time until you get to Clammies. Ideally, I think in World 4, accuracy starts to become a little bit of a hurdle that you need to overcome, and it's going to require a lot more active, a little bit more managing of your gravestone from earlier maps to progress the Grimoire a little bit and upgrade your damage and accuracy. But once you get into World 4, getting to like 30%, 40% accuracy on mobs is completely acceptable, because your damage is probably going to be probably enough to handle the horde mob and handle the base mob. The accuracy is going to be the problem. So be mindful of that. You're going to be running into accuracy issues as you head into World 4 because the accuracy upgrades of the Grimoire are pretty few and far between. So obviously you have Wraith Accuracy 1 here, and then you have Wraith of Trades, and then you have Wraith Accuracy 2, pretty far down into the Grimoire. And then as you get further and further away, there's not a lot of accuracy upgrades until you get to Wraith Accuracy 3, which you can only upgrade into World 4 anyways. So accuracy becomes a problem for a long, long while. Okay, moving on. So this Clammies is a very click on auto, walk away, AFK type map. That's essentially what you want to do, and just kind of walk away. There's no particular gravestone placement here. It's very gravestone friendly, so there's not much to talk about here. I will talk about the ribcage spot moving on from Sheepies in just a second because it requires a very specific gravestone placement. We'll talk about craniums next because that is a very easy gravestone placement to manage. It's going to be soda cans. Soda cans are the ones that give you craniums. But first, I want to, let's see. Actually, I want to check something real quick. Okay, yeah, that's craniums, as I thought. Soda cans. Soda cans are really good because it's got a very condensed gravestone placement. It's actually this left portal. So by walking from the Wurms map, clicking on this portal and just dropping it here is perfectly great. And this will give you the best craniums until you get into the next map, which is Wurms, actually. So sitting here and just clicking auto and AFKing, getting you craniums is going to help you a ton. And actually, by the time you farm craniums, you're going to be upgrading Wraith Accuracy 3. So that means your accuracy is going to become less of a problem in World 4, and you're able to start hitting the mobs more reliably and get more craniums this way. So this is a very good spot to farm craniums. This left portal means you can hit the horde monster very reliably, very consistently, and stack up this gravestone number and get more bone gain that way. This is a very fantastic cranium map to park your ass at. Moving on, Wurms, this placement right here. Ideally, you want to place the gravestone as far bottom as possible. If I remember correctly, when I did this, the cranium spot is just gem shop and exit is the best gravestone placement. As far as I think this is on the sheet I'm referencing here, but it's good to mention this is this is a good spot. You can click on auto and go AFK. Your rates are going to be a little worse than if you were to do gem shop and walk away. Gem shop and come back. This gravestone placement at the bottom keeps you pretty condensed towards the bottom of the map, so you don't go walking away from the horde monsters. As we keep talking about this, walking away from the horde monsters, you'll find out is pretty bad and leads to pretty worse rates for you. So yeah, gem shop, come back is generally what I recommend for the Wurms map. So depending on how much accuracy you have, Wurms might be good, soda cans might be good. Again, I recommend just having your placement and doing your own testing and seeing which ones are better. No one is going to be able to tell you definitively which map is going to be better for you because your stats are different from the next person, and your bone gain, your bone percent, all that stuff is going to be different for the next person. Okay, craniums. Next big thing to talk about is going to be Flombeige. This is your next big breakpoint. This is pretty much just turn auto, walk away. A good map. There's no particular placement here. And this is where you're going to be getting the most craniums out of World 4 until you hit into World 5, which is Mr. Brightsides. So we'll talk about this. We'll talk about that a little bit later. For now, let's finish World 4 and talk about rib cages, which is going to require a very active gravestone placement, unfortunately. So I have to wait for this to expire. So Demon Genies is insanely good, and I mean insanely good. This provided the best rib cage for a very long time. I mean, a very long time. You'll see rib cages tends to have very, very good rates compared to the others. And that's why they are often focused for upgrades, because you get like really high rates compared to femurs, compared to rib cages, compared to craniums. Rib cages are just like a you just get a lot of them no matter what world you're in. Okay, the gravestone placement here, I'm trying to remember. It's third from the right. Yes, this requires a gravestone placement here. I don't know why this platform in particular, but it just happens to be this platform. So place the gravestone here, and you'll see the horde monsters spawn just on these platforms. So you're probably going to be bouncing between these a lot, and probably bouncing between this top layer here. And that's pretty much it. You're going to be very condensed and very stuck in this position, which means you're going to be hitting the horde monsters more, which means you're going to be stacking up the gravestone number more, which means more bone gain. Which I don't know if I've mentioned it already, but the higher your gravestone number, the more bone gain you get. That's just part of the talent. Make sure to read. That's a common issue I see a lot of Idleon players undertake, is they don't read. So the more horde monsters you kill gives you 2% extra bones. Where I'm at in my talent level, 400 plus talent levels gets you that. It just gives you a ton of bone gain. So killing the horde monsters, being active in it, is very, very important. Okay, let's see. Next thing to talk about for World 4 is another femur spot, which is Octodars. So want to caution you guys about Octodars. Its gravestone placement here is this bottom platform. This one, you do need to baby it. You need to be active on it a little bit for you to be able to get the best rates. If your gravestone goes too high, there is a chance, it's a very slight chance, but there is a chance that the horde monster will spawn at the Rift NPC, which, as you can imagine, is very inoptimal, because your character is going to be walking here this entire time to try and kill the horde monsters up here. It's a big waste of time and leads to very low bone gain rates. So be mindful. This map requires you to kind of babysit the gravestone a little bit. And at this point, obviously AFK bone should be unlocked if you were trying to progress Deathbringer. It's not optimal for you to be active on Deathbringer all of the time. It's really just for snapshotting a really high grave percent. So if you're at the point where you're trying to use your AFK bones, you're going to need to babysit this for the full 278 second cooldown, whatever it is. And then you can use your AFK bones and just kind of walk away. You don't need to place down the gravestone multiple times. Just use it once, walk away, come back when the 270 second timer is done. Just use your charred bones. Honestly, it's when you get to World 4, I think it's a perfectly fine spot to use it because World 4 tends to be a soft lock for a lot of people for a while, and World 5 more so. Just World 4 is when progression starts to slow down a little bit, when you're going to require a lot more accuracy and damage to get any meaningful upgrades in your rates as you head into potentially World 5. Okay, so World 4 is done. That's essentially it. So as a quick recap, craniums, just going backwards in order. Soda cans are the best. Remember, left side portal is better. Flying worms, you get more accuracy. This may be better. Enter gem shop, exit. That's the best gravestone placement there. For rib cages, the best spot's going to be Demon Genie on this third platform from the right. So this platform right here. So we're going to place the gravestone. If your timer runs out, you want to replace the gravestone here on this spot to get you the best rib cages. And then I honestly don't even want to mention it, but Stilted Seekers are also a good spot. Just placing the portal, placing the gravestone here at this bottom portal is also pretty good as a good ribcage spot to outbeat Demon Genies. You're gonna need a lot of accuracy and damage to be able to do that. So by the time you get there, you may have enough damage to just, to enter World 5 and try out different mobs there. But yeah, this third platform is gonna be really good. And if you are able to, this bottom platform for Stilted Seekers also good. There's ribcages. For femurs, again, Clammies is really good. Just AFK auto anywhere. It doesn't matter. The gravestone placement here, it's not that finicky. It's completely fine to do pretty much anywhere and just walk away. Octodars does require placement at the very bottom. Same thing, you can enter gem shop and exit, and you can place the gravestone here. This is perfectly fine. You can walk away. Walk away, just be mindful. You need to be a little bit active on the gravestone and make sure it doesn't go anywhere onto this platform or anywhere above, because there's a chance that it will spawn on the Rift NPC is the big problem. Okay. Double checking, that is, and Flombeige is for craniums as well. I did overlook that. Flombeige doesn't require any particular gravestone placement. You can place the gravestone anywhere, and you can AFK this map for good cranium generation as well. Okay, moving on to World 5. Okay. Take a swig of water, because World 5 needs a very big disclaimer. There are essentially two locks you're going to be hitting two kind of time gates you're hitting if you're trying to progress Deathbringer in World 5. There's only 3 spots in World 5 that are good. That's it. Kind of. As you enter World 5, AFK on Suggma's gravestone placement anywhere is okay for a little bit. And then when you are able to get like 30% accuracy, 50% accuracy, Stiltmoles are going to be your go-to place until you get to World 6. And getting to World 6 sounds easy because it's the next world, but it is a huge gap. You're going to be here for probably hundreds of hours. In World 4, you're probably going to be there for a handful, dozens of hours maybe. But World 5, it is no joke. You're going to be here for a very, very long time. And I mean a very long time. I want to give you guys perspective. Deathbringer came out, I believe, in January this year. I can't honestly remember. It's been 3-4 months maybe. Only recently have people been getting into World 6. So you needed to be active on Deathbringer for months to be able to get to World 6. World 5, by all means, is like the hard lock for a lot of people because World 5 not only requires a lot of accuracy, it starts to require a lot of damage. Earlier in the video, I talked about crit chance and why that's more important than Tempest form damage. It turns out having higher and higher crit chance and maxing out this talent allows you to kill the grave monster, the horde monsters more reliably. So you are able to hit those spikes of damage to one-shot the horde monsters, which is very important. One-shotting the horde monsters allows you to stack up the gravestone, obviously. If you don't get lucky and you don't crit, then you won't one-shot them and you're going to be hitting them for longer, which means less time stacking up the gravestone number. So crit chance is becoming very, very important as you enter World 5. To more reliably one-shot it. Also, the more points you put into this, invest into it, your crit damage goes higher, which means when you crit for more damage, which means more reliable one-shots on the monsters. So getting into the 80-90% crit chance and getting into the 3-4x crit damage is going to allow you to really push World 5 monsters more reliably and get better rates there. So once you get past Suggmas and are able to really kill Stiltmoles, honestly, my recommendation is trying to hit like 40% to 50% accuracy on these guys for the best rates. And where do you put the gravestone? It's going to be right here on this top platform. There is no other platform that is better. I've heard conjecture that, this is an okay AFK map, but I'm telling you, gravestone at the very top will get you the best rates. It'll like 2-3x your rates anywhere else on the map. I've also heard that gravestone placement on one of these little rope platforms can be good because it'll force the monsters to spawn over here. I haven't tested that. I'm not going to test it here because I need the gravestone for another gravestone placement later on in World 5. I'll show you in just a second because that is a very technical explanation I need to go into very big detail about. So I don't know where you want to place your gravestone here. For all intents and purposes, the best rates I found anywhere in the Stiltmoles map is going to be at the very top platform. And this is honestly, it's even good for me now. Not the best. Obviously, Woodland Spirits are better for me, but I was getting, before I left World 5, I think it was getting, I want to say like 40 billion femurs or so. So this was a very good spot for a very long time. I know the sheet that I commonly use in the Discord says Lampars can be good. Lampars are terrible. Don't worry about it. Just use Stiltmole's very top platform. This is the only map that is good in World 5. And I've done, trust me, I consider myself a Deathbringer main, and I've done extensive testing. Stiltmole's is just better. Okay, let's talk about rib cages. Okay, so rib cages, again, there is only one map in World 5 that is good, and this is good until you get very, very far into the Grimoire. I'm talking about thousands of hours of AFK bones used. You will not replace Purgatory Stalkers in effectiveness until you get to Wraith Destruction 4. Oh, sorry, Wraith Destruction 3. This upgrade right here. You need to get past Skull of Major Talent to be able to replace Purgatory Stalkers. I'm telling you, Purgatory Stalkers are so insane. They give you so much gain, but you need to be. It is very particular how this gravestone needs to be placed. So I don't know how. I don't know why. It's technically a bug, but every single player and the moderators of Idleon use this, by the way. So for that reason, I feel okay sharing this. But the only reason Purgatory Stalkers are good are due to a bug in the game. So how do you abuse this bug? And yes, I'm very aware I am saying that and recommending that to you, but I'm saying that full well knowing that everyone in the end game has used this. Everyone in the moderator team who pushed Deathbringer has used this, and there is no getting around that. That is a straight fact. This is just how you do it. So you place the gravestone on this platform with dust motes, and this platform kind of disconnects it from the rest of the map. Hold on, I need to hit this mob so my inflamed bonus stays around. And it will force the Purgatory Stalker horde mobs to spawn at the bottom platform, and that's it. Why is that good? Because you can force your character to only focus the horde monsters. So I'm going to change to desktop view so you guys can see how I do this. Because again, it is very input controlled. It is very, very particular. You place the horde down, the gravestone. You click on the rope to go down. You click over here to this platform. You press D, and be mindful of this. You can't do this on mobile. You can't do this on browser. You have to do this on Steam. You press auto, you hold down D, and you click off the window. What that does is it locks your character's input into pressing D continually. So they will be continuously moving to the right while also attacking because you're on auto. So if I go back into the window, my Deathbringer does not move from that platform. You'll stay on that platform and continually hit the Purgatory Stalkers. As you can see, this is very, very powerful because you're only hitting the horde monsters. It is physically impossible for your Deathbringer to go course out through any of the map. And this is why Purgatory Stalkers are the hard, it's impossible to push past Purgatory Stalkers for any other mob that provides rib cages until you get very, very far into the Grimoire. So Purgatory Stalkers only get better as you get more damage and are able to one-shot them and get enough accuracy to be able to hit them. So as you do Purgatory Stalkers more and more, you're going to get more and more damage, more and more accuracy, and you're just going to be able to progress Purgatory Stalkers and your Grimoire pretty fast because of this. I'm going to yap and talk about this for a very long while, but just know that this is going to be your hard lock for rib cages until you get extremely far, and I mean thousands of hours into the Grimoire, months and months of AFK bones. I'm going to take a breather because I've been talking for 35 minutes. I guess now is a good time. If you guys haven't liked or commented on the video already, be sure to do so. Let me know what you think. How long were you guys on Purgatory Stalkers if you were around during the dark ages of pre-AFK bones? I was here for a very long time. Okay, so Purgatory Stalkers are the stopping point for a very long time. Like I said, I only outpaced my Purgatory Stalker bone rates when I was able to hit Wraith Destruction 3, because that gave me enough damage and I was able to get 100% accuracy for Mama Trolls, and that's the next spot to talk about. And I was able to only barely scrape by at Mama Trolls to be slightly better, but it did take less babying and it didn't require this input command at all. And it didn't require this finicky gravestone placement like it does here. Truthfully, I'm going to talk about this. I'll talk about this now. World 5 is buggy in this aspect. I don't know what happened with the skilling nodes, but the skilling nodes from World 5 seem to force the horde monsters to spawn in very particular zones. And that's why World 5 is good, is because it has this gimmick, and that's why it's essentially a lock for a very long time, because you aren't able to outcompete with the extreme amount of bone gain you get from this. So I have 80 seconds left in the graveyard. I do want to undo this input command to show you what your character would do without it. So I kill the horde monster, and my character just kind of sits around for a little bit. But as soon as a mob spawns, I get off the platform. So it's very crucial you do this input command. You press D, click on auto, click D, hold off. Or hold D and then click off, and your character will be forced onto this this platform here. So that input command is very crucial for getting you the highest amount of bone rates. I consistently was able to stack this gravestone up to 830. If I click on my grimoire, you'll see I'm at 700x bone gain. That's because my graveyard, my gravestone is very high stacked. I'm killing only the horde monsters, and I'm getting so much out of this. So with 30 seconds left, you're probably going to see the hundreds of billions of rib cages here, maybe in the 90s of billions, if anything, because of how powerful Purgatory Stalkers is. And like I said, it's just the best spot to farm rib cages. Okay, cool. Again, I'm gonna take a breather and drink some water for the next 15 seconds because this video is just rambling on for 38 minutes. There's a lot to talk about here. Obviously, I hope the timestamps are helping you guys to kind of navigate progression-wise where you should be. Wow, that is really bad, actually. This was a pretty bad gravestone. I think the problem is I did talk a lot in the beginning, but I'm pretty sure I was able to hit like 70, 80, 90 billion rib cages before. If I placed this gravestone and did this like from the start and didn't walk off, there's a lot of factors here. Just know it is very good. You're not going to outcompete with rib cages on anything in World 5 and nothing in World 6 until you get, like I said, into Mama Trolls. So just trust me when I say that. There are plenty of people in my community, and probably Griffey's community, in Idleon main cord who will tell you the exact same thing. Purgatory Stalkers are just the end all be all until you get into Mama Trolls. Cool. Let's move on. Let's talk about craniums. So craniums, same thing. Once you move on from Flombeige, the next big thing is Mr. Brightsides. And hear me when I say this. I have done this testing myself. People will tell you differently. I did not find a better upgrade to Cranium until World 6. Mr. Brightsides is the best for the exact same reason that Purgatory Stalkers is the best. It's because it's got weird, interesting gravestone mechanic. So again, I'm gonna pop over to desktop view to show you guys. Again, do not do this on mobile. Do not do this on desktop. Do this on Steam. So press the gravestone on this maple tree area. It doesn't matter where you place it. Honestly, I'm gonna gem shop come back out because I clicked on the skilling node. Bad juju. Gravestone here. Go down. You'll see the mob spawns at this very bottom platform here. Same thing. Press auto, hold A, and click off. And then go back. Your character will be input locked into there. This will force your character to only be on this platform, and you won't dilly-dally or move around to other platforms to kill the Brightsides. I don't remember the exact rates I was getting. I think it was around 30 to 40 billion craniums is where I peaked before I left and moved on to bamboo spirits in World 6. I found the sheet that is commonly thrown around in the various discords will show that there are better where you want to progress from Mr. Brightsides into cheese nubs. I found cheese nubs to be worse by around 60%. So it is a very significant decrease in craniums for me. And big ol' moles going full auto AFK, even with 100% accuracy and 100% damage, I was getting about 20% less craniums. So it was just bad. Mr. Brightsides were just the best map for me. So again, do your own testing, try to figure it out. But my recommendation is just Brightsides, putting it on the skill platform and doing that input control. It just provided the best rates. So I mean, as you can see here, there's 70 seconds gone on the gravestone. We have 200 plus horde monster stacks. It says I'm chopping the tree, so you guys can't even see my AFK info. So yeah, I'll stop there. On Brightsides, that's essentially the trick. You want to do that, and then obviously use your AFK bones. Okay, moving on. World 6. How do you move from World 5 to World 6? My genuine recommendation is push your Grimoire until you get to Writhing Grimoire. This is going to take, like I said, months because Writhing Grimoire is pretty far down in the upgrade here. Now, once you get Writhing Grimoire, you are not scot-free. You are not able to enter World 4 just yet because you need to fix your accuracy, which is coincidentally the very next upgrade. So you need to get to Wraith Accuracy 4. When you get to Wraith Accuracy 4, that's when World 6 starts to open up to you because you are able to start hitting 100% accuracy on monsters, which means you can hit the grave monsters 100% of the time and more reliably kill them and hopefully one-shot them. So what is your replacement for Femurs? What gets you out of Stiltmoles? It's going to be Woodlin Spirits. Gravestone placement on this left portal, and you do need to babysit this. You want to make sure your character does not move from these top three, these like top platforms. If your character starts pathing towards this rope here, you want to bring him back and click on the platform to where the horde monster is. So I'm sure it's probably going to happen here, but there's these Woodland spirits that spawn at the bottom right of the map that could potentially pull away your Deathbringer. So you want to be mindful and click on the horde monster whenever they spawn to make sure your character doesn't dilly-dally and move away from these top platforms. Otherwise your bone rates are going to start tanking. These gave me an insane amount of increase of for over Stiltmoles, like almost 4x the increase of bones. I can't exactly remember where it was the Stiltmoles. I think I said earlier it was roughly 40 billion. With Woodland Spirits, I'm easily reaching that, and I just started the grave, honestly. But I'm able to hit up to 140 to 160 billion bones. I wish it was trillion, Jesus Christ. But Woodland Spirits are like, this is it. This is the only femur upgrade for a very long time. The next big thing is going to be royal eggs, which no one, and I mean no one, is at right now. Not a single person, I truly believe, that is able to kill royal eggs with any degree of certainty. There might be 2 people, but I highly doubt they are getting better rates than Woodland Spirits at this time. So I'll just leave it at that. Woodland Spirits by far are going to be the end of progression for Deathbringer for Femurs. This is it. The next map to talk about, I'll skip rib cages for just a second because the next one is craniums. This is very, very easy. Cool. Here we go. Gravestone placement at Bamboo Spirits at the very bottom portal. This gave me a massive increase over Mr. Brightsides. This gave me a, I think, roughly 50% increase to cranium bones. This gravestone placement at the bottom kind of requires you get 100% accuracy on Bamboo Spirits. That's where I recommend. So pushing Wraith Accuracy 4 is going to help you a ton with this. If you are able to get a little bit more damage to help you one-shot the horde monsters, it's obviously going to help a ton. But as you get further and further into World 6, damage becomes a huge issue. At this stage, I have more than enough accuracy to be able to hit any mob in World 6. The problem is solely damage and being able to one-shot the mobs, because one-shotting it is going to be very, very important for stacking up the gravestone. So there's that. Let's talk about rib cages next. So rib cages. The best next thing after Purgatory Stalkers is going to be Mama Trolls placement at this top portal. You do, again, need to be a little bit mindful about your character. You don't want them to move from these top platforms too much. If they start going down this rope or wandering to the left or wandering off on this platform, just click them back up to wherever the horde monster is. Just click on the platform. Your character will path back up and be completely fine. So while the gravestone is up, you do need to be a little bit active and mindful of this. From this, I truthfully do not know if there is a better increase to rib cages. I think this is the best spot. I did testing and I found that Leak Spirits was too unreliable, too inconsistent. I think Mama Trolls is just probably the end all be all for World 6, despite what the sheet says. Mama Trolls in my testing and in various other people's testing who are similar to me and done, testing of their own, Mama Trolls are just the best. There's no beating it right now. Cool. Now let's talk about the black sheep of the family, which is obviously Bovenet, because we haven't talked about that. There is only one map, I repeat, one map in the entire game you want to farm Bovenet, and that's why I kept it for last and skipped over it entirely. It is Tremor Wurms. You are not going to see any map that is better than Tremor Wurms at Bovenet. That is right. This is it. This is the only map you want to farm the tier 4 skulls on. This is it. And the gravestone placement is going to be at the very top portal. So Bovenet is very important for the biggest count-wide increase I've seen in the entire game, which is Skull of Major Talent. 30 talent levels for all characters as a base is extremely powerful. People move mountains for this as a bonus from Equinox, from Endless Summoning. Obviously, Equinox kind of tied with that. This is extremely powerful, but this is the only map you can farm Bovenet and gives you the best rates out of. Whew. Okay, so there is every single map that you want to do Deathbringer bone farming on. A very long video. Again, for those of you who want to wait, there are going to be shorts talking about this in very condensed, very concise, and less yappy detail. But it's going to have to be very piecemeal because obviously shorts are limited in time frame. They can only cover one map at a time. So for that reason, there's going to be dozens of shorts coming out, and I am only one person. I only have the time to edit them very slowly. So over the course of the next few weeks, those videos are going to be coming out, and hopefully are going to be some use to you guys. And hopefully you guys can reference that. I'll even create a playlist so you guys can kind of reference where to farm the femurs, where to farm the rib cages, where to farm craniums, where to farm Bovenet. So hopefully that helps you. And obviously when World 7 rolls around, that'll kind of be the I'll be able to include that to the list as well. But right now, where we are with World 6 out, where we are with Deathbringer progression, all this stuff, these are kind of the best spots, and the biggest kind of hurdles people overcome is going to be World 4, is going to be a very small hurdle of a few dozen hours, a couple days, even with AFK bones. World 5 is going to be probably weeks, months even of time, and then World 6 obviously is just infinite amount of time until World 7 comes out, when we're potentially able to kill those mobs. Who knows? So yeah, as always, I'd like to hear you guys' comments, questions, and concerns, I suppose, about this video. Hope this helps, and hopefully I remembered to put timestamps in this video so you guys don't have to listen to me yapping and rambling for 48 goddamn minutes straight. And hopefully you guys glean some information about this video. There's a lot more I really didn't talk about because I don't think it's worth putting into this video, because there's a lot of nuance and testing we still need to figure out. For example, is too much mob respawn bad? Is too little mob respawn bad? I don't know. I truthfully don't know the answer. I sometimes got better bone rates with less mob respawn than I did with more mob respawn. I got inconsistent numbers with too much mob respawn. So, I mean, my advice is, I'm not going to talk about it at length here. My recommendation is just mess around with mob respawn on your gear, whether it be the armor here, whether it be the keychains here, the pendant, the star signs, whatever you have equipped. Just be mindful that mob respawn sometimes is bad, sometimes is good. Do your own testing and figure it out. Cool. All right. Thank you guys for watching the video. As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as I've said a bajillion times in this video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Bye. Hey guys, I just want to say as a last thing, thank you to all of my Twitch subscribers and YouTube channel members. You guys really help the channel grow and really motivate me to continue making videos. If you guys do also want to support me on YouTube, it's just $1 a month for a channel subscription at the lowest tier. You can choose to give more if you want. Just want to say that. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your support. Have a great day. Bye.